Antigravity is completely free to start, while Claude Design costs $20 a month just to get in the door. That's $240 a year before you've shipped a single screen, and that gap is real whether you're a solo dev or running a team. Both tools just launched, so the choice is live right now. I'm comparing Claude Design versus Antigravity across 5 head-to-head tests to see who actually wins. The free tier looks like an obvious win, but the pricing story flips completely at the top end, and that flip decides which tool saves you real money long term. My name is Brian, and I'm in these tools 12 hours a day, so you don't have to be. Every number I'm about to give you traces back to official pricing pages and model cards both companies actually publish. This one's for designers and developers deciding where to put their $20 a month, or $0 right now. Test 1 is cost. Picture this. You sign up for Claude Design, pay $20 a month, and 3 months later you find out Antigravity was free the whole time. That's $60 you didn't need to spend. But then you hit a heavy month, scale up to the top tier, and suddenly the math flips completely the other way. This test is messier than it looks. What I found, looking at the pricing pages, Antigravity is genuinely free for individuals, and its AI Pro plan comes in at about $20 a month, same as Claude Pro. So far, dead even, but at the very top, Claude Max 20X is $100 a month, while Antigravity's Ultra Max runs $200 a month. Claude is twice as cheap at the ceiling, and that's a real gap. Now, the mid-tier is genuinely tied. Both tools land at $100 a month there, so if that's your ceiling, cost just isn't the deciding factor. Most people start at the entry level though, and Antigravity's free tier is a real differentiator for anyone testing the waters. The free tier wins the entry game, full stop, even though Claude wins at the top. Antigravity takes cost, and the free entry point is just too strong a pull for most users to overcome. Antigravity goes up 1-0. That said, keep that $100 versus $200 gap in mind at the top, because it comes back in the final call. Test 2 is coding benchmark performance. A solo developer shipping a production feature on a Friday deadline needs to know, does the model underneath actually resolve bugs reliably, or does it just look good in demos? SWE Bench Verified is the closest thing we have to a real answer, and both models posted numbers that are going to surprise you. What surprised me here, Claude Opus 4.6 scores 78.2% versus 78.8% for Gemini 3.1 Pro, which powers Antigravity on SWE Bench Verified. That's 0.6 points apart, basically a dead heat. Where it gets interesting is at the agent level. Claude Code posts a 52.9% resolved rate on SWE Bench Full, and I couldn't find any published system-level score from Antigravity at all. Model-level performance is genuinely tied, so you can't pick a winner there. But the agent-level story is one-sided. Claude Code has published numbers you can verify, and Antigravity doesn't. At least, not yet. That absence doesn't mean Antigravity's agent is worse, but you're flying blind if you need a benchmark to back your choice. Coding benchmarks land as a tie. The model-level numbers are so close that a tie is the honest call, even with Claude's published agent scores. Score stays at Antigravity 1, Claude Design 0, with one test tied now. Test 3 is speed. Both tools claim they're dramatically faster than doing it yourself, but the claims point in completely different directions. Claude Design says it generates visual assets from a prompt. Antigravity says it builds a full app from one sentence. Those are not the same race, and that's exactly what makes this test worth looking at closely. What I found looking at both tools: Claude Design speeds up graphic design work using Opus 4.7, which Anthropic says is significantly better at visual generation, while Antigravity builds apps autonomously from a single sentence in extended agent mode. Neither company publishes wall clock time benchmarks, so I can't put a number on screen for either side here, which is honestly frustrating. Speed is a tie, and neither side has a concrete number to stand behind. They're fast in totally different domains, design versus app building, so there's no honest way to pick a winner here. Score stays Antigravity 1, Claude Design 0, 2 tests tied. Alright, So we've got context limits and deployment still ahead, and those two tests matter a lot because context limits determine whether your project actually fits inside the tool, and deployment decides whether the tool even fits inside your workflow. One of those tests is going to tell you something concrete that the pricing test couldn't, so stick around. Test 4 is context and output limits. Claude Design publishes a 200,000 token context window across every plan, which sounds huge, but each design revision regenerates the full output. And image uploads eat into that budget fast, so you can burn through your monthly allowance on a single complex project. Antigravity's free tier has a rate limit that refreshes roughly every 5 hours, but the credit to token conversion rate is completely undisclosed. What I found: Claude's 200K context window is published and verified across all plans, which is a real data point you can plan around. But community reports flag that the token burn on revisions is steep, so that 200K goes faster than you'd think. On the anti-gravity side, I couldn't find a published context window number at all, and the credit conversion is undisclosed at $25 per $2,500 credits. Context and output limits is a tie. The steep token burn on Claude's side and anti-gravity's opaque limits make it impossible to call a clear winner, and neither tool gives you the full picture. Score holds at Antigravity 1, Claude Design 0, 3 tests tied. Test 5 is deployment and modality. A developer who needs their AI coding tool to slot into an existing IDE setup with CLI access and SDK hooks is going to feel the pain of a browser-only tool almost immediately. You can't pipe a browser app into your build scripts. This test is really about whether the tool fits where you actually work. What I found: Claude Design is a browser app, but Claude's broader ecosystem covers web, iOS, Android, and desktop, plus Slack and Google Workspace integrations. Antigravity runs as an IDE plugin, a standalone desktop app, CLI, and SDK across macOS, Windows, and Linux. The big differentiator is model flexibility. Antigravity supports Gemini 3.5 Flash, Gemini 3.1 Pro, Claude Sonnet, and Opus 4.6, and GPT OSS 120B, while Claude Design is locked to Opus 4.7. Both tools cover all major desktop OSs, so platform availability is basically even. But the model flexibility gap is real. If you want to swap between Gemini and Claude depending on the task, Antigravity lets you do that and Claude Design doesn't. And for developers who care about mixing models, that's a concrete win for Antigravity, not just a nice to have. Deployment lands as a tie because platform coverage is genuinely similar, even though Antigravity's model flexibility is a real edge for developers. Claude's broader client ecosystem keeps it even, despite the IDE and CLI advantage on the other side. Final score: Antigravity 1, Claude Design 0, 4 tests tied. Claude Design wins 3 specific things. Top tier pricing. Claude Max 20AX is $100 a month, which is half the cost of Antigravity's Ultra Max at $200. Published agent level scores. Claude Code's 52.9% on SWE Bench Full is documented and verified. Antigravity's isn't. And design-specific capability. Claude Design with Opus 4.7 is purpose-built for visual asset generation, a domain Antigravity doesn't target at all. Antigravity wins 3 things too. The free tier is genuinely free for individuals, $0 to start, while Claude Design requires a $20 monthly subscription just to get in. Model flexibility is real. Antigravity runs Gemini 3.5 Flash, Gemini 3.1 Pro, Claude Sonnet in Opus 4.6, and GPT OSS 120B, while Claude Design is locked to one model. And for developers, the IDE, CLI, and SDK surfaces give Antigravity more integration points out of the box. Okay, so the overall result: Antigravity wins 1 test, everything else ties, which is a narrower margin than I thought going in. Here's the decision rule: for design work, go Claude Design. For autonomous coding and app building, go Antigravity, and start on the free tier because it costs you nothing to find out. The $240 a year entry gap is real, so don't pay it unless you need the design canvas specifically. If you're trying to figure out which tool actually builds a better website end-to-end, I did a full breakdown on exactly that. Go watch ChatGPT versus Lovable which builds better websites. It covers a lot of the same workflow questions you're probably sitting with right now, and the result there is way less obvious than you'd think.